Hello and welcome to No Rest for the Weekend, where we go behind the scenes and talk to the creators of independent entertainment. I'm Jason Godbey, and with me in the Rabbit Hole studio today, he is the man behind all things sound and music for Behind the Rabbit Productions. He's a producer of indie film news and the creator of Sound House Audio, Mr. Christopher Gillard. Welcome, Chris.
Hey, man. How are you doing?
Welcome back to the Rabbit Hole, man.
Back again.
So happy to have you here. This is kind of a special. This is a special episode because it's a little bit outside the norm of what we do. But you did this thing. This is basically the how Chris spent his summer vacation last year episode.
Exactly.
We meant to do this earlier, but we've been just really busy. But this is really cool. So last year you attended this film scoring summer program in Varna, Bulgaria, of all places.
Yes.
And we can talk about why it's there at some point.
Yeah.
But I want you to kind of just tell me about the program and what your experience was. And this is really cool for anybody who wants to know about like film scoring or music for movies. This is an amazing, amazing thing. So I wanted to have him come on and talk about it. So tell us about your experience.
Yeah. So basically, the film scoring summer program is. It, like you said, it takes place in Varna, Bulgaria. It's run by a group of, the organization has now sort of like reorganized itself into an entity called the Film Scoring Academy of Europe. And it is made up of some pretty impressive people within the film scoring industry. It's essentially a 3-week intensive. You go there to Varna, which is a lovely little beach town on like the southern coast of Bulgaria, and you do daily workshops in things like orchestration, score analysis, even down to like software like Logic Pro X, Sibelius notation software, how to use it, how to get the most out of it, and then you also have 4 pieces of music that you compose over the course of the 3 weeks, and the Varna Radio, which is an actual radio station, like an old Cold War era radio station with a sound stage. 4 times over the course of the 3 weeks, you go in there and they bring in like an actual orchestra musicians who record your pieces for you, and you get audio and video of it. So it's a really comprehensive program, and you come away with so much knowledge as well as some potentially really cool stuff for your reel.
So you recorded 3 or 4 pieces out there. I listened to them. I thought they were amazing, and just the sound of a live orchestra was incredible. And so you talked a little bit. They have some impressive people here that you worked with. Talk about kind of that experience in terms of, well, first of all, for somebody who's interested in this, you said that they train you and they talk about like Logic and Sibelius. Do you have to know that stuff before you go?
Yeah. They tell you that basically, I mean, it is for a wide range of skill levels, but the two things you really need to have and sort of have under your belt are, you've got to kind of at least know the basics of Logic Pro X, which is that's the recording software they teach the program in. There, you don't have to use that. There were a couple people in my class who were working in Pro Tools. I feel like there was at least one person who was working in like Cubase, but they tell you up front, like, we teach in Logic, so anything we show you in class, we're only going to show you how to do it in Logic. If you were using something else, you have to. And then
I know you're a Logic guy.
Yeah. So I was already, I was like, okay, no problem, got it.
But what about Sibelius? Did you use that?
I had never used Sibelius before. Sibelius is a notation software mainly it's owned by Avid. So it's kind of a Pro Tools. I call it a Pro Tools product, but it's an Avid product.
Right.
And it's it's one of the premier notation softwares. There's Sibelius and Finale. I didn't know this at the time, but apparently Sibelius is kind of favored often by European composers, and Finale is favored more often by American composers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So they taught in Sibelius, and I basically just like did like the monthly subscription to Sibelius for the month I was there. So that's the software you print all of your notation in for the sheet music for the actual recording sessions.
Now, when we covered NAB last year, if you saw, they have a free version of Sibelius that Avid puts out along with Avid Media Composer. So if you are interested, it's not as maybe robust a version of it, but you can get it for free, which is pretty sweet.
And even the paid subscription version I bought was only like $25 for a month.
That's not terrible.
Yeah, it's not, it's manageable if you need it. And, like I said, I think I paid for it. The program was for the month of July. I paid for it for June just to kind of use it a little bit and get my feet wet with it. So I paid for it for, June and July, and that was basically it.
For some of the people that you're meeting on this, so talk about that. Talk about some of the faculty and personalities there.
I mean, it's incredible. I mean, you have basically our instructors, where one of our instructors was Derek Gleason, who is, conducts and has conducted orchestras all over the world, has conducted like the Dublin Philharmonic, highly, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Right.
And then we also had, of the 3 weeks, the second week, Christopher Young, like film composer legend.
He did all the Hellraiser movies, Spider-Man 3. He's done
Set It Off. He
Yeah.
did Set It Off with Queen Latifah. He's done his filmography is 3 decades.
Right.
Yeah.
So you did this thing for, how long does the course go for?
It's 3 weeks.
So it's 3-week intensive. What were kind of some of the takeaways that you had from it? Like what? Because you're already a pretty accomplished guy. You've worked on some films. You've done scoring. You do sound design. You've taught these programs like Logic and stuff like that. So for someone like you who's not coming in as a novice, how much more was there still to learn?
Oh, so much more.
And what did you? What were the main takeaways that you got from it?
The big takeaways were, I would say, for me, it was learning more about recording live instruments as opposed to working with, virtual. I would say the first big lesson I learned there was you have to, even when you're working in like the digital virtual realm, you still have to be knowledgeable about how the real instruments work, because otherwise you'll end up writing parts in the computer that can't actually be played on the real instrument.
Right, because you need humans to be able to play these parts.
Right.
Yeah. So you can't have somebody play the top note and the bottom note of a bass note on a piano.
Right. Yeah.
Unless they're a mutant and have giant hands or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I would imagine. And then was there? How big a difference was it when you started hearing? Because for the most part, when we've worked together, you're composing for virtual instruments, and you use the samples that you use sound great.
Right.
But
it's still not as good as the real thing.
I mean, when I heard it, I was like, this is night and day.
Yeah.
And I just thought your skill level, and I think the world of you, and I think you're really skilled, but you went from like here to here.
Yeah.
Like your skill level made such a jump just because of having that knowledge and really being able to hear it for the first time.
And the other big thing was just learning that, again, some of the stuff that they focused on was about making your digital stuff sound even better, like things like
because they know you don't have access.
They know you
to
don't.
them.
You're only going to have access to these live people in these couple of weeks,
right?
But then some of it was about
you can't get the Philharmonic to come to your house.
Come on over. Yeah, I'll throw something on the grill and we'll
record in the living room kind of thing.
So yeah, there was that, and then there was also for me one of the big challenges was actually Sibelius and the whole notation thing, because again, that's a whole other aspect that I'd never had to do before.
Right. If you're recording mainly with yourself for yourself, you don't need to translate it to musicians.
You don't need to print out sheet music.
But guess what, kids? When you get to the big time and you want to do this for real, if you want to do this Hollywood, they're going to get an orchestra there, and those people need something to read.
And not only that, but a lot of those people, those orchestra players, very often may not speak the same language as you. So everything you want to communicate to them you have to be able to notate it on the page, because you're not going to have time. And, one of the things they told us was that even as the composer, you can get kicked out of your own recording session.
Really?
If you're like trying to let me talk to the violinist real quick. The violinist speaks Bulgarian and you don't. So how much time are you going to waste trying to communicate, But everybody in the room reads notation, so everything you want to communicate has to be on the page.
And they also speak music Italian.
Yes, music Italian. Exactly.
Fortissimo, piano,
andante, yes.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's an interesting lesson too, because, and I think it applies to things other than music, because if you're a screenwriter. You have to learn how to put those things in the script.
Right.
And I'm guilty of that myself, because a lot of times I direct what I write, so I don't need to explain it to myself.
Right.
I know what it's going to look like.
Exactly.
But, if you're a screenwriter trying to sell something, you have to put those images and everything in the script so that anybody who picks it up can read it.
Yeah.
And music is a universal language, so it works that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to have all of that, and then there's little, even little things about like, notation conventions within the notation. Like, for instance, I didn't know that like for film score notation, like the fact is that not only are these musicians, is there often a language barrier, but these people are sight reading. So they're coming in, you're handing them the sheet music, they look it over for 5 minutes, and then you do a take.
They're hitting the ground running.
Yeah. So that means that you don't do key signatures. You put the sharps and flats on each individual note.
Oh, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. And you also do, like, if you have time signature changes, you make them huge so that they're very noticeable on the page. And there's like little things like that I never would have thought of or known.
Well, you're not often in that position.
Yeah, exactly. Never been in that position before. So it's just such a wealth of information. And then each person had a one-on-one hour-long consultation with Christopher Young.
So, you're sitting across from Christopher Young. This guy is really accomplished.
Right.
And, here's somebody who's been making a living at this for, like 3 decades,
Right.
Which not all of us can say.
Right.
But what were were you intimidated at all by that? Did it make you nervous? Is he a cool guy?
He's such a nice guy. Like, he's so generous with his time. Prior to the one-on-one, his first day in our class, he gave us an assignment where basically you had a 32 bar passage of it was just chord changes, and it was a melody writing assignment. So you got this 32 bar of chords, and then each of us had to write our own melody to it. And then you came in the next day and you played the melody, and basically the exercise was, could you play the melody and have the class sing it back to you after hearing it only one time?
So are you creating memorable
melodies?
You
creating memorable melodies that like stick in people's heads? And so I had done that exercise and got like some really good feedback from him. And then I also played him The Last Hit.
So yeah, for those of you who haven't seen it, and it's on the website, it's also on our footprint.tv page behind the Rabbit Productions. We did a short film called The Last Hit. It was in black and white.
The first thing I ever scored, film I ever.
This was, we had done little things before,
right.
But this was a full film. It's not very long, but it's a full film, and we shot it without sync sound cameras. So every bit of sound is either ADR, sound design, Foley, sound effects, or Chris's music. And Chris did he's probably 60% of the movie. So you played this for him. And
he...
Was that nerve-wracking?
It kind of was. And he had very good feedback. He said, for someone who has never done this before, this is really good. He said the biggest compliment I will take away from that, conversation was, he's like, you're a tunesmith, you're a melody guy. And I was like, well, I started out as a singer, so that's, I lock onto melodies.
That's what you hear.
Yeah, exactly. And he said, you can hear that, and that's what he's very much about finding your unique thing as a composer and helping you focus in on that. It's like, that's what's going to give you the edge, that, finding those things about yourself that nobody else has, and capitalizing on them and making the most of them.
Yeah, and you didn't. That was not something that you were like, here it is, and it's like done.
Yeah,
we went through draft after
draft
back and forth, and that's probably a big learning experience too. Is that you just learning all of that, going back and forth with the director and all that kind of stuff, and but that's. I think that's like your way into a piece.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
how you kind of find it.
Absolutely.
And so you created a number of pieces in this workshop,
right?
And we want to play one for you. So let's get. We're going to give them a clip, and we do have video for this as well.
Yeah.
But set this up. This is the piece. This is the big piece that.
So we did. It was a total of 4 pieces that you wrote. First one was solo piano. The second one was a string quintet with flute and clarinet. The third piece was a 20-piece string section with piano and harp. And then the fourth one was a full 38-piece orchestra. So this one is the last one, the 38-piece orchestra. I basically scored it. I wrote it, it was kind of a rescore that I wrote to the first big chase scene on the highway in Transformers, the first Transformers movie.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was kind of like what I...
Do you know who the original composer was at?
I do not.
Yeah. But
I purposely, didn't
I know that
look
was a
it
score
up.
that was like aped a lot too.
Right. Yeah.
So you're trying not to listen to that guy. And what did they give you? Did they just give you a piece of film?
Yeah, basically they gave us, you were more than welcome to go out and get your own clips or use something of your own. But they gave us, we had like a Dropbox with a folder of just scenes from different movies. Some of them big movies, some of them, smaller, lesser known things. But it was just like a variety of, genres, tones, emotions, things happening, and you just kind of went through for each piece. You just kind of went through the bank and like picked out a scene, or you didn't have to write to a scene at all. You could just write something. It was totally up to you.
Well, let's play the clip.
Yeah.
So we got the clip here. What's the name? Do you have a name for it?
The name of the piece is called Among Us.
Okay, so this is
that was a thing that when the names we got like into like this. It was like it became like this weird competition with like getting your pieces the weirdest name. So,
all right, so this is Among Us by Christopher Gillard. Amazing piece. I loved it. I remember when you played it for me. I damn near cried in the diner that we were in. So talk about. So you have this is 38-piece orchestra, and what was that experience like of recording it? So this was the biggest thing. I assume this is the biggest recording that you've ever done.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Other than the time we recorded the 100-something-piece choir.
Yeah.
But that's another story.
Yeah, because I didn't have to write that music.
Right.
We just showed up. Yeah.
I think Handel wrote that music.
Yes.
Long before you did. So what was the recording process like? Like, for instance, You've got the conducter there.
Mm-hmm.
You've got this entire orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
And how many takes do they do? Do they do it 20 times or 10 times?
No, you get. That was the other thing specifically with this program is that because there's like 27 people in the program each recording day, each person you only get like maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. So like that, what you heard, that's these people walked in. We would walk in with a box of sheet music. Everybody had we had an order, and we'd walk in and they would literally just pull out the next piece and hand it out, and everybody would have 3-4 minutes to look it over. We'd do a sound check, make sure it's ready to go, and then you'd sit there while
sit there quietly, wanting not to disturb. Not to disturb anyone.
Yeah.
Because you're just the composer.
Yeah, and you don't get to talk. You don't get to those. That's like kind of the rules, and I there were some people who kind of didn't really abide by that and jumped up and talked to the music. I was like, no, I'm gonna do it. So it's again, all you have is what you can put on the page. That's
right.
You're really just and in a real session, as the composer, once you get into that session, you're just there to answer any questions anybody may have for you. You're not there to coach. You're not there to
I mean, was there any feedback? Did you mean to make this a D sharp?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Oh, yeah. You have because you have your conductor, you have an engineer, obviously, you have what they call a score supervisor, who is literally somebody who just sits in the booth with the engineer with a copy of your score and follows along. And yeah, sometimes they'll ask you did you mean to make this, or but again,
that person has to be an amazing musician.
Oh yeah,
too.
Absolutely. Our score supervisor for most of the sessions was Christo Pavlov, who is he was one of our orchestration instructors, and he's great guy, super talented, crazy knowledgeable, and very kind of business. Let's go. First day he was like, all right, let's go. All the good composers are dead already, so let's just go.
So also, I kind of picture that score supervisor, he's almost like the Talmudic scholar.
Yeah.
Kind of interpreting what you've written.
Absolutely.
And making sure that everything goes well in translation.
Yeah.
Because in truth, you can be there and you can be there with the director, but sometimes you may not be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So somebody's got to get this right. But getting away from the technical side, what was the feeling of it? How did it feel to see, and hear your music being done like that?
It was I would say the first 2 sessions were completely surreal. It was almost an out of body experience in a sense. And a couple of the clips you can see of the video I have, I'm just kind of standing there with a blank expression on my face, because again, it's at that point, it's completely out of your hands, and obviously it's a piece of music really well, but at the same time, you rushed, or because you only had, it's 4 sessions over 3 weeks, so you only had a few days to write each piece. And for me, I had to write really fast because I knew I needed extra time to do the notation and stuff, because that's what I was less familiar with. So I had to write really quickly in order to give myself enough time to have my sheet music correct. And so by the time you got into the session, the nerves never went away. And it was for me, it was I'm being scared of being, I'm going to be exposed. These people are going to know I'm a fraud, that I don't know what I'm doing.
You get that imposter syndrome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it was some of that, and then there's also, once you actually hear it, and maybe by the third take, where the musicians are starting to really settle in and feel how the piece goes, and you start hearing it the way you heard it in your head, and it's just oh.
Yeah, that's surreal, man.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it sort of transformed you as a composer? Do you feel like you're better, more confident? How would you describe that?
Absolutely. I feel like one of the biggest things is that I just understand the different instruments in the orchestra and what their function is.
Right.
Better.
So even if you're not composing for real people, if you're doing it virtually,
I can make it sound more realistic simply because I understand what these instruments do now, and more importantly, what they can't do.
I think for any artist, knowing limitations is huge.
Yeah.
Because if you give me a sandbox and I know, this is the frame that I can play in, now I know what I can do.
Right.
But everything before then is testing boundaries constantly. You know?
Exactly.
So this way you kind of know where it is.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man. And
even down to like what instruments to pair with each other. Like you never like
line and meat.
Yeah, exactly. Like I never knew, like, one of the things that Derek Gleason said was like always put with your winds, you always write your clarinet and flute parts together, and then your bassoon and oboe together. Never mix like clarinet and bassoon or oboe and flute.
Wow, okay.
Because they just don't sound good together. And stuff like if you've got a piece that's got dialogue, stay away from winds if possible, but especially don't use like oboes and bassoons. Like,
because they'll run over the dialogue.
Yeah, they sit right in the same frequency. So it's all these little things that you may only learn after getting screamed at by a director. Instead, you can go here and get screamed at by like people who are trying to help you and not like looking for a reason to fire you.
Obviously, I wanted to say at the top of this, we're not sponsored by that organization
at all.
We're not being paid to say any of this stuff. It's just a really interesting experience, and I wanted Chris to come up and talk about his takeaways for anybody who's interested in that sort of thing. But I'm going to wrap up. So for those who want to see you, find more about you, where can they find you?
They can find me at soundhouse.com. That's www.sound-haus.com.
Thanks so much for coming, man, and thank you all out there for taking this trip down the rabbit hole. For more episodes of this show and more of our content, including our movie reviews, you can find them on our website, norestoftheweekendpodcast.com. You can also subscribe on your favorite podcast app, and now we're on Patreon, so you can find us on patreon.com/norestoftheweekend. Once again, big thanks to Chris for coming all the way from Bulgaria to do this episode. Thanks so much. You're going back there, right?
Yeah, I will. That's the plan. I just got the same organization has just started a 1-year MFA program in film scoring that I applied to and just got accepted to. So
excellent, congratulations.
Thanks. So I'm trying to figure out how to get back there.
And in a year, we'll do another show on that.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you once again for Behind the Rabbit Productions. I'm Jason Godbey. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.